What is up everyone, and welcome to some more F1 22 My Team career mode. Last time out we were at the Australian Grand Prix and we got a pretty good result there. It wasn't quite a win, but it wasn't too far away. We got on the podium and Porsche managed to get a good result there as well. I think he finished P8 in the end. So yeah, we had a strong weekend. We managed to keep hold of P2 in the Constructors' Championship, and now we're going to be going into the Chinese Grand Prix and hoping to further hold on to P2. Maybe we can grab a win like we did last year after we lost the pace in the beginning, but as we battled our way back through the race, we slowly found more and more pace until eventually we overtook Russell with a few laps to go and closed out for what was one of my only wins that season. Actually, I took 3 wins in the first 4 races of the season, and then I only took 1 more after that. And yeah, the Chinese Grand Prix was the 3rd win I took last season, and if we win here this weekend, it will be the 2nd win I've had this season after we had a win in Saudi Arabia a couple races ago. Overall, I'm pleasantly surprised by how well this track has been going for us, because in previous years it was never one of my strongest tracks. So to have it back on the calendar after a few years of absence, pleasantly surprised by just how much pace I seem to be showcasing around here, and I hope that we can continue doing that now that the AI seem drastically improved from previous seasons. I'm finding it a lot more difficult to battle with them this season as opposed to previous years. You know, we've all got sort of equally performing cars, the top 7 teams, that is Jaguar, McLaren, Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes, Alpine, and Alfa Romeo, and AlphaTauri are starting to get back into that fight as well. But I think it's going to be a little bit of time before they're back in that fight properly, because they still need to get a few more upgrades on the car to really sort of be in that pack. As for Alfa Romeo, the reason why they're perhaps not quite as competitive is simply just because of their driver lineup. I think Lundgaard and Schwartzman aren't the strongest drivers, and they definitely haven't been showcasing the kind of pace that Alfa Romeo would want from them. I don't know if they've scored any points yet this season. I think only 6 teams have scored points so far this season. I will find out soon, I guess, if I'm wrong about that. But that's certainly how it has seemed so far. We get another durability upgrade on the car, so we're going to be maxing out our durability before you know it, with only a few left to get. And yeah, now it's time for us to get into qualifying. It's going to be a wet qualifying session. I think it might dry up towards the end at Q3, which you'd hope I'd find my way into, given that I'm currently the championship leader, or I think maybe I'm 2nd in the championship actually. I think with Leclerc's win in the previous race, he just usurped me by a few points. But if we win here, we'll certainly regain that lead from Leclerc. And yeah, on a set of wet compound tyres, we set a 1:47.5 to open off our times in Q1. I think we're probably going to end up going again, and indeed we do, and we managed to improve by about 1 second. And we'll see how good enough, whether this is good enough to make it into Q2. I imagine it will, because we're currently in P6, and it doesn't look like many more people are doing lap times. We improved to a 1:46.3. And in the end, it is good enough for us to get P1. So we're through to Q2 quite comfortably. If we can keep getting P1 over the course of the whole weekend, that would be fantastic to see. But it's probably unlikely, I'd say. Porsche there in P9, not too disappointed with that. If he can get through to Q3 as well, I'll be very happy with that level of performance. But we'll have to wait and see what happens regarding Porsche's performance. He's been pretty decent for us so far. You know, he didn't have the best time out in Australia with regards to qualifying, but then when it came down to the race itself, he managed to recover a few points. We're only showing you my 2nd lap from Q2 rather, because we improved by so much that the first lap almost wasn't worth showing. And yeah, in the end, it's P1 again. But both of those laps where I got P1 were set on drying tracks, so it makes sense that I'd probably get P1 if I was last across the line. Porsche is through in P8 as well, so that's nice to see. Russell actually out in P13 there, while his teammate Zhou Guanyu, the driver who you might have thought would be the weaker of the two, not actually being outperformed by Russell on this occasion, so that's good for him. And yeah, now we're going to see if we can set a competitive time in the dry track of Q3. We open the scoring with a 1:31.4. It's good enough for P2 at the time. Leclerc is 0.3 faster. I did do this on a fresh set of softs because this is the first time that I've run on softs all weekend. And actually, I go for one run immediately afterwards. We have the battery power now, the ERS power, to do back-to-back runs and have them be somewhat competitive. And when I cross the line, it's now a 131.1 that we've done on a used set of softs, effectively, which makes me think that there might be even more pace in the car than that. But I wasn't showcasing it too much in the first couple sectors of my final lap of Q3. I was about even with my previous time, but as we come round the Max Chilton section, we are about 1.5 tenths up as we get onto the back straight of this Shanghai circuit. And yeah, with a strong final few corners here, we could still be a contender. We only need to improve by about 2.5 tenths. We come into the hairpin and we take it pretty well. We improve by another few tenths or so. I guess that makes sense that we have a bit more grip compared to when we were on used tyres. When we're around the final corner, we do lose a little bit of time there, but I think it's going to be good enough across the line. We improved by 28 hundredths, and it was good enough for pole position in the end. So that's fantastic to see. And yeah, we beat out Norris and Leclerc, two of our biggest rivals of the previous seasons, and also beat out the Red Bulls, beat out the other Ferrari of Sainz. And Porsche gets P7 for good measure as well. That's a strong performance from him, so I'm very happy with that. And yeah, I hope we can close this out in the race. Maybe Porsche can make up a couple places, get into sort of P6, P5 even, and yeah, we can maybe challenge for the win here to really mark out our chances of I don't know, being involved in a constructors fight maybe. But it's going to be a long way before we can really think about doing that, especially with how strong the Ferrari is this season. They definitely seem like the second fastest car. They had a 1-2 in Bahrain, and you know, Sainz would have probably been P4 in Australia if it hadn't been for his sort of issue that he had. Actually, I think it was P3 now, I remember. I think Verstappen had that issue, didn't he? Which meant that I got promoted up to P2 and Sainz got promoted up to P3, but then Sainz had the DNF. So it was Verstappen's teammate Perez that inherited the final podium position in the end. Yeah, it was a bit of a strange one, all things considered, and I'm hoping that this race might be a little bit less strange. And now we're going to find out.
Chinese Grand Prix then is upon us once again. It's a race that saw Michael Schumacher claim his final Formula One victory in 2006, as well as Red Bull's first win with Sebastian Vettel in 2009. There's no doubt there's plenty more drama to come here in Shanghai. We start a lap here at Shanghai with the long, difficult right-handers of turns 1 and 2, the first of 16 corners that make up this 3.3-mile circuit. The incredibly long back straight provides the best passing opportunity of the lap, with speeds in excess of 200 miles per hour before we head into the braking zone of turn 14. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Robinson lines up on pole position, and Lando Norris lines up alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Sainz, Perez, Charles Leclerc, and Verstappen, Fernando Alonso, Gasly, Ocon, and George Russell, Tsunoda, Lundgaard, Robert Schwartzman, and Albon. Théo Pourchaire, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Oscar Piastri, Guan Yu Zhou, and Nicholas Latifi. Ricciardo, they've taken a grid penalty. Magnussen, Mick Schumacher, and Lance Stroll brings the grid to a close. With preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track. Anthony Davidson joins me once again in the commentary box, and it's fantastic to have you with us here, but I'm curious, as a man with experience out on the track, how do you stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the rundown into turn 1, a bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It will keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
Okay, now that we've got some good points on the board, let's continue this form and aim for another top 10 finish.
I would hope it would be at least a top 10, but what do I know? Porsche taking a penalty there, so he drops down from P7, I think he qualified, down to P15. Hopefully he can work his way back into the points, but that's a little bit unfortunate that he had to do that. I'm not sure why that was, but yeah, we'll find out, I guess, maybe. and we'll find out if he can showcase some good performance over the course of this race. I get a bit cocky with my weaving on the start-finish straight as we line up on the grid, and as a result, my grid position actually gets reset. So I'm going to have a harder task now to keep Norris behind at the race start, but we'll see if we're able to challenge him regardless. I'm gonna hope that Pourchaire is able to sort of jump a few cars off the start as well, and yeah, I mean a lot of cars actually took penalties here, including Zhou Guanyu and Ricardo as well. And now the lights are going to come on, and the lights go out. And yeah, it's a pretty good start, all things considered. Obviously, I know that they're going to be stronger through the second phase, and here he goes. He's rocketing up my inside. I'm going to see if I can hang around the outside of him here. If we can just hold on throughout this this fast right-handers of, or no, they're not really fast right-handers, but tight right-handers of turns 1 and 2, and then it opens out to the left as we move through turn 3, and yeah, we've managed to hold on to the position for now. We turned the outside to the inside. We had the grip to hold on and fight with him, and in the end that was good enough for us to hold on to P1 for now. But I imagine that he'll be challenging us further back through this race. You know, we come through the tricky fast right lefts of sector 2. And I'm just reminded of how sort of technical this track really is. You know, it's deceptive because it has a very long straight, but there are a lot of technical corners here as well. It's kind of like another track. I can't remember which one off the top of my head. Mexico, I think, is the one I'm thinking of, where obviously you've got that really long start-finish straight, but then you've also got the incredibly sort of technical S's of the middle sector and some like slow double apex corner. All that kind of stuff is you know, very difficult to navigate, and we're actually being closed down by Lando Norris as we come through the back section. Now you can see that I stopped burning my battery a little bit early, and he's going to be challenging me to the inside here, so I'm going to have to do everything I can to defend, but I don't quite have the grip around the outside on this occasion, and that is going to mean that Lando Norris has moved into the lead of the Grand Prix, and we are going to have to do everything we can now to try and get him back. We move through the race, and as we move on to lap 6 now, you can see that Lando Norris has pulled away significantly over the course of the time that we have been in the race. There wasn't really much that we could do. He just has superior pace. I think he's probably checking out of the Grand Prix for good, and this might be another win that's slipping through our fingers here as we kick things into a higher gear here. You can see that yeah, whilst Norris is pulling away, Perez is catching me, but he's not catching me particularly quickly. You know, he's not significantly faster than me through any of these corners, and you know, that works well for me. He does have the DRS, which keeps him competitive through the straights, but you know, as for everything else, we're pretty fast through the corners compared to him, and that means that we're kind of able to get a good run compared to him. And you know, we don't really come under any pressure from him, even as we come into the pit stop phase now. You see, he's that's actually Verstappen that's coming in behind us, not Perez. So hopefully we don't get overcut by Perez. But Norris has stayed out as well, so perhaps we could close up some of the time to him on a set of medium compound tyres, which we're going to be fitting now. I think typically, if Crofty says something at the introduction to the pit stop, that means that we're not going to have a pit stop error. And my logic is sound in this case, at least, as we set a 2.9 second time. That's pretty good. It's about what you'd want with a crew that's this competent. And yeah, now we're out of the pits, and we're going to try and see if we can get ahead of Alex Albon here, clear him nice and quickly, and move back up the order to maybe challenge Norris for the win. As we go for a very unorthodox move here on Alex Albon up the inside as we come to this sort of double apex, the two left-handers. And yeah, somehow we managed to actually pull that move off. That was probably one of the more daring overtakes I've made in my F1 career, along with the overtake I made on Sainz in the previous Grand Prix. Which, if you haven't seen that, I would definitely recommend checking that out, because that was crucial for me to stay on the podium, at least at the time. Obviously, things changed afterwards, but in the moment, it was a pretty important, pivotal move. As we're now trying to get around Schwartzman. As you might have seen there, Kevin Magnussen had some kind of failure. We're gonna see what happened to him in just a moment, but for now we're gonna see if we can get ahead of Robert Schwartzman here in the Alfa Romeo. He's yet to stop. I don't want to get caught up behind him too much through the corners, because he is going to be slow compared to me. And yeah, we do get ahead of him through the DRS zone, And as we come through the hairpin, you can see that we're already like 5 tenths ahead of him. So I don't think he's going to be challenging us too much through the rest of the Grand Prix. This is what happened to Kevin Magnussen. You see that, you know, he just is moving through Sector 2, and then all of a sudden he just pulls off the track. He didn't have any smoke or anything, so that suggests probably gearbox failure. And yeah, now we're gonna move back to the race itself and see what's going on here. I exceed track limits a little bit as we exit the final corner of turn of lap 13, I should say. I don't know how many turns there are on this track. And now we're going to see if we can get ahead of George Russell here. He also hasn't stopped yet, actually. We make a bit of contact with him there, but I think it was just wheel-to-wheel contact as we go around the outside of him here with the superior grip that we have on our fresh mediums versus his older mediums. We don't do any significant damage to our car, and yeah, that is going to mean that we are able to move into P3, which will be P2 once again once Gasly in front has pitted. He's started on a set of medium tyres, and now you see as we move on to lap 18, he is pitted and we've moved back into P2 once again. We haven't really closed anything up to Norris so far, but now we're going to really start pushing as we come into the final few laps or the final like 10 laps or so of this race. We're going to try and give everything we've got, and you see already we've closed the gap by a few tenths. You know, he is the only person who really posed a threat to me in this race, pace-wise, after the pit stop phase. You can see I'm pulling away from Perez at a rate of knots now. It's really only me and Norris who stand any kind of chance of winning this Grand Prix, I think. On this lap, we closed up to him by about 4 or 5 tenths. If we can do that every lap, we will be able to challenge him before the end of the Grand Prix, just about. And now as we move on to lap 20, you see I've closed him up by another few tenths. And yeah, we've moved within 3 seconds of him. So hopefully within sort of 5 laps or 6 laps, we'll be within DRS range. And once we've got the DRS, I really think that we will be massively in the conversation to overtake him. We're significantly faster through Sector 1. I think that's our strongest position compared to Lando Norris here. And yeah, I can only hope that we can eventually get ahead of him here to take the lead of this race once again in a sort of you know, reminiscent move of what happened last season, where we overtook Russell with just a few laps to go in the race, and then sailed off into the sunset to take what at the time was only our 4th victory. Obviously we've had a few since then. Actually no, it would have been our 5th career victory. Yeah, we've had a couple since then. I think if we win here today, it would be our 8th career victory, which is pretty nice. And hopefully I can get that up into double digits before the end of the season. I'm hoping we'll be more competitive as we move through the season. And the win has actually been gifted to me here, because as you see, Lando Norris is out of the Grand Prix, and that is not what he would have wanted to happen at all. I'm guessing that must have been some kind of engine failure. You guys saw the smoke pouring out the back of the car there, and that is going to be absolutely gutting for Lando Norris. His race is over. He's not going to be scoring any points. As far as McLaren's chances of fighting with us in this Constructors' Championship go, that's pretty brutal. As far as Norris's chances of defending his world title go, that's pretty brutal, because he's already fallen away from me and Leclerc by a lot. It really looks like it's going to be a 2-horse race, one of which is going to be a prancing horse, and the other is going to be a feline. As we now move on to lap 26, we are going for a fastest lap attempt here, but I don't know if we're going to be able to get it or not. We green to the first sector, but red in the second sector. We're going to have to push very hard here in the final sector if we want to get this fastest lap. And yeah, we give just about everything we can. We want to take as many points off Norris as we can, especially for the rivalry. We want to outscore him in the rivalry. But in the end, that fastest lap attempt I went for was unsuccessful. I know I cut away just before the end, but we weren't going to achieve it. So I thought it was not particularly important to show you the end. It was just something that I was hoping to get. And now we're on the final lap. You see I'm over 10 seconds ahead of the cars behind. I double checked what the fastest lap is. It's a 1:33.6, so I'm like, okay, I can probably do that. We only need to improve by a couple tenths. All we need now really is just to be strong through the final sector, have a good exit from this hairpin, which I don't take brilliantly, and we've got one more corner to find out. Will we get the fastest lap, or is it going to remain in Norris's back pocket? We come up to the line, we cross the line, and it does not improve. We do win the race, of course, but we do not get the fastest lap, so it will only be 25 points on this occasion, not the full 26 that we could have achieved. But a race win is a race win, and I'm not gonna be too disappointed about that. Driver of the day goes to Teo Pourchaire. Hopefully that means that he got back into the points at least. And yeah, a strong drive from us to close out the Chinese Grand Prix.
Talk to me, Ants. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
I think it was clear what the main contributing factor out on track was: speed. I know it sounds like an awfully reductive statement, but fast cars win races, and we saw that today with our winner.
The faces on our top three look so incredibly happy as they make their way up to the podium. A much-deserved victory and a brilliant performance from them all.
Yep, we win for just the second time this season, and we find ourselves in a very similar position to where we were last season, where we had a very strong beginning, and then you know, as we got to Imola and then the races beyond Imola, things slowly slipped from our grasp, and we only took one more race for the remainder of the season. But this season should be different. You know, we've got a maxed out car. There isn't really much that the cars around us can do to close us down, apart from unless they can squeeze a bit more out of their engines. But really, we should be able to contend for the whole season this time around, and maybe Porsche will get stronger as we get into the season. He got P10 today, driver of the day, and gets an extra point for us as we take 26 points away from this Grand Prix. We move over Leclerc once again in the championship, and he's now 4 points behind us. So a win in Imola for him at what is one of Ferrari's home races will see him move back into the lead of the championship. So we'll see what's going to happen regarding that. Constructors wise, we're pretty far afield of Ferrari, but I was never aiming to win the constructors on this occasion. You know, we need two drivers consistently challenging in the sort of top four really to be able to get the constructors trophy. And it looks like it's going to be Ferrari again on this occasion. You know, Sainz is having a pretty strong season. Leclerc's having a very strong season. Obviously, he's a championship contender and looking to win his third championship in 4 years. If he wins this season, I'm looking to deny him that. I'm also looking to deny Norris to win his second championship in a row. And yeah, we're trying to win our first championship meanwhile, and I don't know if there's anyone else that's really in the hunt for it this season by the looks of things so far. I think the Red Bulls want to be in the hunt, but it doesn't look like they are going to be. It does make me laugh a bit whenever they do the grid lineup, and what's his name, David Croft, is kind of like, oh yeah, World Championship, Max Verstappen lines up on pole position, and I'm just thinking to myself, he hasn't been a world champion for a very long time at this point. You know, canonically, we're here in 2025, and Max Verstappen was last a world champion in 2021 in this, because he didn't take it in 2022 in our career mode, in our canon. That went to Leclerc on this occasion, and then Leclerc closed it out in 23 as well, and then it was Norris in 24. So yeah, Verstappen only a one-time world champion. Leclerc actually has more world championships than Verstappen does on this occasion. If we want to match the record, we're going to need to win every championship from here on out, because we didn't win any of the first 3 seasons. So yeah, if we want to match Schumacher and Hamilton, we're going to need to win every championship from here to the end. We've only got 7 more opportunities, so we can't beat them anymore. We can't become the best Formula 1 driver of all time, but you know, we could become the joint best Formula 1 driver if we're able to put on a strong season for the remainder of these upcoming 18 races. It will be now. We've got Imola next, and then Miami, and then Monaco are the ones that are imminently coming, as we see again there. That is the DNF of Norris, and that was a very cool shot there. You could see through my rear wing him pulling off the track as we crossed the line there to take the win once again. It's it's a really good race from us, and we extend our lead over Norris in this rivalry even further. Obviously, he had the DNF, so that didn't help him much. But really, we've completely smashed him here. You know, Norris is not having a particularly strong season. If I have an option to make Leclerc my championship rival, he's definitely going to be my next pick, because he's the only person who's really mounted much of a challenge to me so far this season. And I want to beat him to prove that we can be the best. We need to ditch this Shark sponsor ASAP, because we are the highest team in the vehicle performance comparison, so we can't outscore the team above us, because there is no team above us. And hopefully we can continue raising money over the next few races. That is going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed, please make sure you like and subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.